Welcome back to the fifth video in our study design series. In this video, we will learn about case control studies and discuss some strengths and weaknesses. Case control studies are also observational studies that are considered to be research in reverse. These studies begin with the outcome of interest and find links between past exposures of cases and controls to determine risk factors. So you're collecting data on exposures that happened in the past, and all of your cases already have the outcome at the start of the study. So this is where most people ask, well, what's the difference between a retrospective cohort study and a case control study if they're both observational studies looking back in time? And there's an important distinction here that will help prevent confusion between the two in all your intro to epi homework and exams. Case control study group participants share a common outcome, while cohort study participants share a common exposure. If you keep this little note handy, you'll be in good shape when trying to distinguish between the two. Some strengths of case control studies include that they are very good used for rare outcomes, since you're starting with the outcome and working backwards. They can also evaluate multiple exposures for this reason, and they tend to be fairly quick and inexpensive. Some limitations of case control studies are that it's more difficult to prove temporality or that cause and effect relationship we talked about. There's also bias involved in determining the presence or absence of an exposure. Consider that the only way we can evaluate for an exposure after the outcome has occurred is by surveying the participants for past exposures. They may have trouble remembering these events accurately. There's also a high potential for confounding since multiple exposures are being evaluated. Let's take a look at an example. Say you want to study whether having a household cat is a risk factor for schizophrenia, which is a rare disease. Take a moment to see if you can identify the exposure and the outcome here. So it looks like the exposure would be having a cat, while the outcome of interest would be schizophrenia. So why is a case control study the best option here? Well, we're looking at a rare outcome, so we need to be able to start with the outcome and work backwards to find potential causes. You can imagine how many potential causes might come to light if we were surveying for every potential related event down to household pets. This opens up the possibility of confounding. So to recap, video number 5 went over some important properties of case control studies and how to differentiate between them and retrospective cohort studies. We also went over some important pros and cons. Please continue to video number 6 to learn about the third study design, case control studies.